everyone, it's Karen here and welcome back to my channel. You saw how I created my own homemade gesso. I just literally looked up a recipe on the internet, on Google, and I created my own gesso. I will show it to you right here. It's a really great gesso, amazing consistency. It worked beautifully, as I will show you with this packaging that I used it on. It worked out beautifully and it gives a beautiful coverage. So I really wanted to create something that is very inexpensive, because there's a lot of people that cannot afford the high-end materials because they're very expensive, or because they live in countries where they're not available. So I thought that I would create my own gesso. But then it got me thinking what other things I could create. So with the same materials plus one more that I created the gesso with, I thought I could create textured paste. So basically it's the same recipe as gesso, but the only difference is that I could add something in it to create texture. In this case, I'm going to be adding coarse salt, or like really thick salt. You could add regular salt, you could add sand, you could add pieces of like coffee grounding things. Like I've made a whole video on texture and how to create different types of textures and mixing them with different products. So this is a really great idea to do, but in this case I want to create my own homemade texture paste. And there could be a lot of variations of this texture paste depending on what you put inside. In this case, I'm going to be putting salt, as I said. So the recipe asks for a 1/4 cup of baby powder, which I have over here. It doesn't matter which brand it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this empty pot of something that I already had from before. It's an empty container that I had from something previously done. Then it asks for a tablespoon of white glue. This is a cheap white glue that I got at the dollar store. It's like a school's glue, white glue. It's really easy. Nothing fancy about this one. So if you want to go watch that video on 30 ways to create texture and what kind of things I've used to create texture in the past that you don't always need to spend money for. There are things that are available to us every single day. And the last thing, I put a tablespoon of glue, and the last thing is to put a tablespoon of white acrylic paint. And this is a very cheap acrylic paint, again, that I got at the dollar store. This whole thing has cost me in total maybe like $3-4, but I've already made like 2 batches of gesso. This is the second one, and I still could make basically so much more. I could make this for an entire class of 20 people. So if you think about it, it's really economical to do this. So now I'm adding this, and all it needs is a little bit of water as well. And then I'm going to mix. Just have some baby wipes here. So first I'm mixing without the water, but like I got from the other one, I did need a little bit of water in the original gesso that I made, and you can go watch that video on how I created the gesso, although this is this very similar thing that I did. The only difference between this one and the other one is that this one is going to have a texture to it. It's going to have a coarse texture that will be very cool when you're creating a background. So now you can see it's a quite thick texture, so you could use this as modeling paste. So this is another way that I could do it. I could use this as modeling paste and just have it really texturized and really thick. But what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of salt. So I could leave it the way it is, like I said. I could leave it and just have it almost like a modeling paste. But now it's getting too thick. So what I can do is add a little bit of water to this. So this is how you play around. It's a really cool recipe because you can play around. I feel like a chemist, but a very simple chemist. Obviously, I cannot say that I can create products from other manufacturers, similar to other manufacturers, because I am not a chemist, and they do use lots of chemists to do that. So now that I have, it's a very thick and texturized paste. I think it even needs a little bit more water. What I like about gesso and all these products is that they're usually water based, and you can even add a little bit more paint if you think it needs. It will give it a more smooth consistency and make it more white. Now you could color this texture paste with any colorant, even food coloring, but I would more suggest like things like mica or like any pigment that would work with it, so that would be great. Now let's test it. I really would like to test this. So this side has gesso. Let me turn this around, and I'm gonna grab myself my silicone brush because I really want to just kind of test to see how it goes. Wow, this is really texturized. So it's really kind of a dry consistency. I wonder if it needs a little bit more water. I find it's too thick. So as I'm playing around with it, I can kind of feel that it's a little bit too thick, and that just mixing it with a little bit of water will take away that thickness, because what's happening is that the salt is absorbing that water. Maybe sand would have been a better thing to add to this, but this is really cool. I love this. Wow, this is really nice and texturized. Yeah, you see, this works really, really nicely. It will probably work better through a stencil, but you can feel the grittiness of it. There you go. So it's really highly texturized. Again, I'm not an expert in this because I've never made this before. This was my second attempt creating something for myself. So I really think this is cool. I actually can't wait to use this in my junk journal. I might have to add more water when I go back to use it, but for now I have this really highly texturized paste that I can use through a stencil or just to create a lot of texture on my background. So I'm really excited to be able to bring that to you guys, where before maybe you were worried that you wouldn't be able to create anything, any art related stuff, but now look at this. You can actually create your own really cool texture paste, or in the other side a gesso that you can go watch the other video for. So I hope you enjoyed my small tutorial on how to create texture paste. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends on social media. If you have other recipes on how to create texture paste or different consistencies of texture paste, I'd love to hear about it. Maybe leave me a link so I can come and watch it. And otherwise, just share this with your friends. If you have friends that really get sad when they cannot create like other people because they cannot afford the products, share this with them and encourage them to just create art because they love it. It doesn't really matter how much product costs or where the products come from. The most important thing is to create because you love art and because you love creating. I really appreciate all your love and support, and I hope you enjoy this. Please share it with your friends, and I would love for you to subscribe to my channel and join my Facebook group, Karen Tamir and Friends Creative Space, and just come and join this very supportive group on Facebook. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.